This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're doing today in this video. This is my first Minecraft video and my first tutorial all in one video, but I will be showing you guys today how to trap a wither boss in survival Minecraft using an iron golem and our lovely little friend here, a witch. And I'll show you how to hook that up to an AFK wood farm, or I'll at least showcase the wood farm that I have on my server that is attached to a trapped wither, and getting piles and piles, stacks upon stacks of wood without even using an axe, and it is great fun. So hey, let's get started. So the reason for me making this video is that I wanted to trap a wither and attach it to an AFK wood farm, and I searched YouTube, watched many videos, and most of those had the wither either being trapped in the end or in the nether, and I wanted to trap one in the overworld and attach it to an AFK wood farm. And it took many versions of me attempting that and trying that, but I finally found one that worked, as you saw at the beginning of this video. And so I will go through the details of how to build that, and also maybe a little bit about the things that I tried that did not work, maybe some tips along the way. So here we go. First off, you actually have to find in the bedrock a formation like this that makes basically a plus sign with a hole in the middle. Now, the one that I found had about 3 or 4 blocks below it that were empty, and I was worried about that. So actually what I did when I first started was actually put a block, 1 block below here. There is a barrier block there, so I can't do that now, but 1 block below this. Anyway, you also have to look at your F3 screen. You have to find this plus, but you also have to find this block. Alright, if you look on the left, you can look at your XYZ coordinates, and then you can look at your block right below that, and then you can look at your chunk. So what we're looking at is the chunk at this moment. What we're going to be doing is looking at the chunk. I'm in chunk 001. You see that? And then I'm at block 145. So if you look at, now I'm at, well, if I look at this one, I'm at 155, and then it changes it to 2. So we want to find a place that's a plus like this, but also that this block where the wither is going to be, and there's 10 blocks in between this and where we're going to trap the mob. So then we've got to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then this is where the mob is going to be. Now that needs to be in the same chunk. Now you can see if I move a couple more blocks, you can see the chunk changes to 101. So we want to find this plus pattern, and then 10 blocks in between that and this other block where the mob's going to be, and it has to be within the same chunk. Okay guys, I'm back, and I've put together most of the resources you're going to need to actually trap this wither, and most of them are inside this chest here. I may have forgot something. If we do, we'll figure it out along the way. I know, of course, the first thing you'll probably notice is that I have a spawn egg for a witch. You cannot get that in survival, but you can, as I did in my on my server. I name tagged a witch and trapped her in the cage where we're going to put this witch, and you will find out, and you can do that in survival. I'm going to go ahead and pull everything out of here into my inventory, and I will show you guys what we're going to be doing now. Now I've actually started this process over here. First thing you have to do is, after you find this formation, find this block where the entity is going to be. This is actually going to be where the witch is. You're going to actually need to build this up so that the witch will be trapped in this one hole, or this one wide block here, except for this right here. This is actually where a slab is going to be, because this is where the wall is going to be, that the wither is over here, is going to be attracted to the witch that's trapped in this little space right here. It can see him through this little half slab here. Now the reason I have chosen a witch, and I will explain this to you guys, is that several times I did this with a iron golem above the wither and right here. Now what happened is, even with a stair that was placed sideways so that there was only a quarter of a block opening, every once in a while either the wither would lose focus of the golem because it would move to one side, or a wither skull would make it through the wall, through that little opening, and would hit the golem and wither him. And after a while, being withered a couple times, I would come back and the wither would not be shooting at anything, and I found out that the golem was dead, and that would cause all kinds of problems. Now, even in my server that I have, a survival server, I've actually had to set this up probably a good half a dozen times, and got myself several nether stars that way. Not on purpose, but because I would trap the wither, figure out what worked and what didn't work to make this farm active. And I found out the best thing. There was a guy on my server that said, why don't you use a witch? Because even if they get withered, they can heal themselves. So that's exactly what I did. So once you get a witch trapped, you basically want to create a wall that I would say is about at least 3 blocks thick, if not thicker. And it needs to be something of a decent blast resistance. Nothing is going to be impervious to that initial blast other than bedrock, the initial blast of the wither. But you want to make sure that this is, I would say, at least 3 to 4 blocks thick. Whoops, wrong button there. And then you want to put slabs right there. So what you can do is you can see that the witch's line of sight, if I do like F3 and B, you can see the witch's line of sight is right there, that red line. So we want to keep that open so that the wither can see that, and then initially you'll see that most likely that, at least in my world, the witch was throwing potions at the wither initially, and then eventually stopped and was just... so right now, actually, in front of the witch, that is 3 blocks thick. I'm going to do 4 just to be safe, and some of these are actually going to blow up on that initial blast, and you'll have to replace them, but it'll be fine. So let's go ahead and fill these in, and then we'll move on to the next part of the tutorial. Alright, now of course you will need to have gotten 3 wither skulls from wither skeleton skulls to make the wither. You probably know that as well. Now what I'm going to be doing for this is showing you how to set up to have the wither ready. Now just set that block there because you don't want anything in that hole below. So this is the formation, of course, for the wither. I'm going to go ahead and put two of the skulls on. I'm in creative. I don't know why I'm not flying. But anyway, then you're going to want to set up the system that's going to actually dispense you need a dispenser facing into this block because that's where it's going to have the 3rd wither skull is going to be in here. So you're going to have that. And then you cannot have that block there. You're going to need a block here. Then you're going to need a repeater set to 2 ticks on top of the dispenser, and then you're going to need a redstone dust there, and you're going to need a button on this block right here. Now what we're going to do is have we're going to have the piston. So what this is actually going to do is as soon as take that head out of there, as soon as you click this button, it's going to dispense the head, and then after 2 ticks it's going to push the wither down. So in this case you would have that happen right there, and so that's exactly what you want. And so this the head is going to be in here, and so then and then we need to build a platform on top of the piston like this. You need at least a 3x3 platform. I'm going to build out a couple more just to stand on here. And on this is where we're actually going to spawn an iron golem, and that is going to be what the middle head of the wither is going to be attracted to. So you'll need 8 fence posts, but you can only put in 6 to begin with because you cannot have the fence posts here when you spawn the iron golem, or it will not spawn. So if I were to put those in that shape, it will not spawn because these fence posts are underneath. So all I need to do is put those on, and then after I put that pumpkin head on, just quickly go to each side and put in those cobble walls. Now he is officially trapped up here, and you are done with that part. Alright, we're back, and as you can see, I filled in the floor, and I filled it in with bedrock. Now, of course, you will not be lucky enough, you never will, to be able to find a place that has a block below here missing and the rest of it is solid bedrock. Now, I just filled this in so that his initial blast does not blow up any of that, and I will be in survival, and I can run across here without there being big craters in the floor. Anyway, so I am going to switch to survival now. We'll do that, and then we'll get the obsidian that I need, and I'm only going to put 1 piece of obsidian on my hotbar. And what I'm actually going to do, now that I'm in survival mode, the wither skull is in there, that's on 2 ticks, and the redstone dust is up there. I'm going to push this button, break that piston with my hand, as I said, and then quickly place this obsidian, and then I need to run around behind this wall, because if I'm closer to this wither than that witch is, when he is spawned, he will be targeted into me. So if I spawn that and I run around here, he will be attracted to the witch, and then we'll be fine to come back around. I will give you one tip that I learned in my testing as well. I did this a couple times, and it happened to be that it was in a slime chunk. Now, I'm not 100% sure that messed it up, but in my testing in a creative world, I spawned slime, and they were attracted to the wither and tried to attack the wither, and that I think caused the wither to get distracted and could cause problems. So now in on my server in my survival world, what I've done is make sure that this was not in a slime chunk as well, so that no slime could spawn and get to the wither or anything else that just decreases the chances of things going wrong. So anyway, now I'm going to go ahead and push the button and spawn this guy and quickly replace that and run around the corners. So here we go. So now I've done that and run around the corner, and you can see the wither is spawned by the bar at the top, and once he explodes, he starts firing. And now we can come back around, and you can see he's blown up a good portion of this here. You can see that his middle head is attracted to the iron golem above, but the heads on the side are attracted to the witch. And as you can see, as in my world, the witch has actually. I'm going to go back into creative now, just so you can see this from above. But you can see the witch actually, I think, either got hit from the initial blast or whatever it is, but she got mad and she's throwing potions at the wither. That happened in my world as well. The cool thing is once I relogged, she was no longer doing that. Once I left the area and came back, she was no longer throwing potions and no longer getting hit. So for now, I will show you. I'm going to just rebuild this. Now, one thing I did do and I will show you guys as well in survival here in just a second. I did test a little bit in my survival world of what happens if somebody walks in front of the golem. In front of the wither, and I wanted to test that because I was wondering if that would distract him from the witch. And now, of course, I don't have any armor on, but if I walk in front of him and I get shot by one of those, I get withered. And you can see there that he did not get distracted by me running in front of him. And I may die here in just a second, but either way, we will continue the video after that. But you can see it did not distract the wither from the witch. He's pretty focused on her, and the middle head is focused on the one above. Now, of course, in my survival world, I'm still very careful. I do not walk in front of the wither because I do not want things to go bad and him blow up my whole wood farm, all those kinds of things. So I'm going to relog and see if the witch is still throwing potions, and make sure this is all set. And so we'll be back in just a second. Alright, and we are back, and you can see that after I relogged that the witch is actually no longer throwing potions, but the wither is still attracted to her. She's still doing fine, and like I said, one of the cool things that happens is if the witch ever does get hit by a stray wither skull from the wither, which can happen every once in a while. I'm behind my farm, and I will see a wither skull come flying through, and I don't know if it's a visual glitch or if it's really getting that far. But if it does, the witch will begin to heal herself, and I have not had any problems yet. If you guys experience any problems with that, please let me know. But just so you guys know that's what's happening. Now, what I've done in my world is I've set up hoppers, and then of course set up the wood farm so that it brings wood. I've set up hoppers that go into a chest. So we'll do that real quick. I set up my chest somewhere over here. Set up hoppers that will lead into that. And I know I'm in creative, so but what I've done is set up hoppers, something like that. And so then I have the wood. Actually, I put this out here like this. Hopper pointing into that. So now what we do is we have a chain of hoppers going across the front and coming into this chest right here. But what I have done, and I will show you clips of that in just a minute, I have my wood farm built over on this side, and then the wood is funneled through a series of systems into a single file line, which then end up coming across here in front of the wither like this. And you can see that if I put logs in front of the wither at that height, now they look like they get blown up, but what ends up happening is the hopper picks them up and you can see in this chest right here we have the logs. So what ends up happening is that if I have a system set up here where there is you will see I have a system set up with pistons, redstone, and redstone torch, and blocks, that you will then have a system to push the logs across. So now quickly, if I just set up a system where there is a piston here, redstone torch here, a block here and here with redstone dust on top of this, that creates a little instant block updater that as soon as a block is placed on the face of the piston, it powers this redstone, which powers this block, which makes the piston go. So in this case, I have a series of these set up so that as blocks are moved into here, they're moved along in front of the wither. Now it can't be too fast, because as you can see, if I place these really fast, if your wood farm is too productive or too fast, you could have a system where this will end up breaking because some of the blocks will get past the wither. So that's a whole separate tutorial in itself, setting up a wood farm that's not too fast so that the blocks don't do this. But if the wood comes in at a slower pace, you can see how as it comes through here, wood will be broken by the wither and picked up by the hoppers and put into the chest. So anyway, that's I will show you guys some clips now of the wood farm that I have in my survival world on my server. We'll skip over to those clips now and see you in a second. Alright gang, here we are on my server that I play on, that I own with and play on with some friends of mine. And I'm in creative right now just so I can fly around and show you guys what's going on here. So here is my trapped wither on my server. As you can see, it looks very similar to what I just showed you guys. And back here I have the witch. So if I break this, you can look in there and see there is a witch trapped in there. So that is what I have there. You can see the line of logs that I have going around coming out here. This looks a little crazy, but I did this in order to lengthen the amount of space to give myself a safety mechanism, because a piston can only push up to 12 blocks. And as I told you before, if a piston pushes blocks too fast past the wither, then you will have a problem. And so what I've set up on this side is a little safety mechanism where if the logs get to here, which is about 11 blocks, it'll immediately push over and then push back, and it will create another line of logs in front of the wither and get a second chance to break those logs. We'll come in here and you guys can see the tree farm. Now I have to give credit, and I will link to the video. This is SZ Petty's wood farm from about 2 years ago that he has on YouTube. And I tested several wood farms. I had designed one myself, but it would only grow oak, and I wanted one that would grow all of the one-by-one trees, and this one will do jungle, oak, birch, and spruce, and it will keep up. Even doing jungle, it will keep up with saplings, which is great news. So this tutorial is up on YouTube. I had to modify it just a little bit for a couple different reasons. If you guys are really interested, I'll get into those details. Maybe in a separate video I'll explain the details of how I modified this so that it would work with my trapped wither for a wood farm. Now I am decorating in here. As you guys can see, I have like 3 out of the 4 walls done. I will finish decorating this. But the cool thing about this is what I've attached to his wood farm is a series of pistons and set up here so that the logs will come out of there in a single file line but vertical, and then they will come across this way. These pistons here are set up to fire so that they will go into the stair step pattern, and then once they get into this pattern over here, they will get pushed over and then down, over and down until it gets into a single file line. And then I had to get them down to the height that I need for the wither, and then they come out here in a line and end up coming right at our player head height, the level in front of the wither. So let's see here. What I'll do, I'm going to get set up and I'm going to grow a tree for you guys, and then maybe give a couple of different angles that you guys can see how this will actually work and what ends up happening with the logs when the tree gets grown. Okay, first thing we're going to do here is actually show how the farm works from the inside. So I'm still in creative, but just so I can fly around when I need to do this. But if I plant a sapling here, you will see that as soon as the tree grows, all the pistons will fire, come in, crush the leaves, and move the tree over and push it in the line right over there. So it has a cool down mechanism that doesn't start dispensing bone meal again for a little bit of time. That actually helps, and I lengthened that. So that's one of the changes I made, was lengthening that time so that it would give time for the system to process the wood. Now I'm going to grow one more standing here and then plant another one real quick and then go out there so you guys can see how the rest of it works. So after this one grows and gets moved out of the way, I'm going to plant another tree and then come out this way, and you guys can see what happens. So when the tree grows, all of the pistons will fire to crush the tree, and it's still in the process. All right, there it's grown. And then pistons will activate. It is set up on a little bit of a delay, which is on purpose. So, and of course I'm on a server, so things sometimes can be a little slower. They'll push over this way, over that way, and then when they come over to here, this system, like I said, pushes the blocks over and then down, which creates a single file line of the logs. And then if we come out here, you can see that the logs are being pushed in front of the wither and being broken, and then they end up in this chest right here, which I tell you what, I've AFK'd for a couple hours here, and probably I don't know how many stacks, but probably in an hour time frame, or it might have been 2 hours. I think it was 2 hours. I got 35 stacks of spruce. Now spruce does grow 5 and 6 tall. I've got a limitation set up on this when I grow either birch or oak. And I just do that by placing a furnace or 2 furnaces at the top there. But so this is a massive build. And but I was really happy to find a farm that does work with slight modifications, and then to finally put to use my system that I set up to turn logs into a single file line. This took me several hours in creative to figure out, because at the time I was fairly new at redstone, but finally figured it out, got it working, got a wither trap successfully, and have been using this farm, and it is great. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know, and if I missed something, I apologize. My first video, and had a blast making it, and I wish you guys happy wither wood breaking, and we'll see you guys maybe in a future video if I decide to make one. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.